Alright guys, so we're going to start with a Meson chip here. You can see this one right here was pulled. It's not a clean pull. You can tell that because of the way the solder balls aren't straight on the IC. So anyway, I want to show you the way I do all my Touch IC chips, along with several other chips using pre-made balls. So I want to start with some red tape. This is not a Tessa brand. It's just some cheap red tape bought out of China. So we're just going to put a piece of red tape down. And then we're going to put a piece of Kapton tape over top of that. And the red tape is two-sided tape, so it's going to hold my Kapton tape down. So that's the way we do that, and then we're going to put the Meson IC on top of that. We're going to take just a little bit of flux. Got a hair or something in it. Then I'm going to take my soldering iron and just slightly go over the balls to level the balls up. They don't have to be 100% completely level, but you want them pretty close. So we're just going to hold the IC just slightly. I'm getting this flux here, and just go over the balls. Get them pretty level, so that looks pretty good. And then I want to take just a little bit of alcohol and clean that flux off, and just look at my balls and make sure they look pretty level. I've got one here that's a little bit higher, but I'm good with that. I'll take my stencil, line it up, and then put that down, and that Kapton tape is going to hold the stencil pretty steady. I can see one of my holes has a little piece of lint in it. I'm going to get that lint out before I go any further. If you get lint or junk in your stencil holes, it keeps the balls from sticking the way they should. Alright, that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to take just a little bit of flux. I don't want a lot of flux here, I just want a little bit. And just go over those holes. That may not be enough. Alright, that's good enough. Now normally on my Touch ICs I use 0.25 mil balls, and I think for this video I'm going to use, no, we'll go ahead and use, no, I'm going to use 0.2 mil balls, and that's because on some of the other ICs I'm going to be using or demonstrating here on, I don't want to cross-contaminate my balls. So we're just going to take our finger and just rub those balls right in all the holes. Give it a second look, make sure the balls are in all the holes. They are. As you can see, there's some balls on the stencil. I'm not really concerned about those, as long as they're not really close to the holes that I'm focused on. These balls over here, they can kind of stay there right now. So I'm going to be using hot air. 300C is what I'm using. I'm using my Heiko 802, and I'm using full air. That's probably just because that's what I'm used to. You may want to cut your airflow down, and we're just going to start slowly heating, kind of in a circular motion, trying to get everything up to heat. And then you're going to see the flux start boiling off. When it starts boiling, you want to back up. And I'm just going to come in from one corner can see I'm boiling and I'm starting to melt my balls. I'm just going to let off on my stencil. My balls are good now. They're stuck. So then I'm going to kind of just slide my tape off the table and leave it on my stencil and remove the tape. And when you remove the tape, you don't want to pull straight up like this. You kind of want to pull off at an angle, because if you're pulling straight up, you actually could break your IC. So I'm going to come off at an angle, and you can see my IC just popped right out of there. That looks like shit. Okay, let's start over. Well, actually I was wrong. I saw these balls in these holes here, and I assumed that they didn't stick to the IC, but you can actually see they did, and what those were the excess balls that were on the front of the IC. Whenever I turned it over and kind of slid my stencil, they came through the hose. So the IC is reballed, as you can see there, and so we're going to take this a little bit more heat and put on it, and that's going to center the balls on the pads. I'm going to put just a tad more flux on that. Alright, so that IC is done. Now, this is the only IC that I was going to show how I cleaned. The rest of the ICs I've already got. I already pre-cleaned those. And so we're not going to actually show those being cleaned. Alright. My cat's been on my bench. Got cat hair on the table. Anyways, you can see BGA looks good on that. So that I'll actually use this on the phone. So I'm going to put that back up there. Alright, so we're going to do the next IC. I think I'm going to do a iPhone 6 baseband. I see a lot of people having trouble with those. So we'll do the same thing. Get some Kapton. This is actually knockoff Kapton tape too. Get out of China off eBay for like $1, and so it lasts a good while, and it's good for stuff like this. So here's the baseband off an iPhone 6. As I said, it's already clean. Balls are pretty level on it. So we're going to go with that. Again, I got my iPhone 6 stencil. Make sure to get our A1 lined up on it. Alright, so that's good. Flux. A little bit bigger IC, so a little bit more flux. .2 mil pre-made balls. Just use your finger, make sure we get one in each hole. Looks like I got one in every one of the holes except for one up there. Sometimes I need a little help. Just checking on my hose. They all look good. Alright, we're going to do the same thing, 300C. Again, I'm not worried too much about my balls around the IC. Oh, I got extra ball there. Alright, let's get a little more heat. Got a couple of balls here that ain't fell in place yet. Got 2-3 balls right here on the corner that just haven't slightly went down yet. Not sure what the deal is with that one. Must be some trash in the stencil keeping that one ball from going down. Alright, that's good. Alright, so do the same thing. Probably should put just a little bit more flux on it. Anyway, that's good. Let it cool just a second. Should be good. It wasn't. Oh well. Got a good fail on that one, huh? It's alright. We still came out and saved it. So, good deal. Alright, now we're good. My toothbrush has got lint all in it. Alright, so anyway, there we go. It's a good looking reball. That would be good enough for reinstall. Alright, on to the next chip. What do we got next here? iPhone 7. iPhone 7 audio chip. This here is actually one I took off a phone. It's probably reusable, but right here there's just a little bit of solder mask that came off that solder stuck onto the chip, and I didn't want to take any chances on reinstalling this IC, so we'll reball it for show and tell here. Alright, same thing, two-sided tape. Kept on. Now the iPhone 6 stencil I'm using is a really good stencil, and I say that because, as I said earlier, I like using 0.25 mil balls on a lot of my ICs, especially on the Touch IC. You can get by with 0.20 millimeter balls, but I like the 0.25 better. And this stencil here will take 0.25 mil balls. A lot of your stencils, the holes are just slightly too small, and whenever you use 0.25 mil balls, they get hung in the stencil. Now this stencil here is an iPhone 7. It's actually a plus stencil, which you can use for a lot of the ICs. You can use the plus or the regular 7 stencil. But this stencil here will not take 0.25 mil pre-made balls. It'll only take 2.0. If you use 2.5, they get hung in the stencil, and lots of aggravation trying to get them out. So, which one am I? Okay, here we go. All right. So I mean, when I'm doing this, you can see I'm not trying to, I don't really care about any extra balls I'm losing. It's no different than using solder paste and having to wipe the excess off. I mean, you're going to have extra balls unless you put them on here one at a time, and that's going to take all day. I mean, we just put them in a hole, rub them in, and not worry about the excess and go with it. Yeah, I think that's good. I'll let this one cool just a little longer than I did the last one. I think that'll work, so let's try that. Again, we'll come off at an angle. Make sure I don't break my IC. This little spot here was the spot I talked about earlier that I already had the mask taken off, so as I said, I wasn't really planning on using this on a working device. So we're just going to heat it up, center our balls on the pads on the IC, let it cool. Looks pretty good. And you see me after I get done cleaning this with alcohol. Generally I wouldn't do that. I'm just doing that so that you can see the balls on the IC. Generally I would just leave that flux. It's not burnt. I would leave that flux on the IC and just put it right back on the board like that. You can see how that BGA looks. I mean, looks like a factory chip. Alright, so now let's see what we can get ourselves into. I've got a A8 CPU pulled. It's got a lot more balls on it, so let's see if we can successfully do that one. I don't know. I've only done a couple of those, so I got a special request to do one, so we will see what happens. It may go all to hell here, so actually I'm going to use a larger piece of tape, I think, just to make sure my stencils held down good. Alright, where's my wider tape? Let's use some of this. I'm all jerky today, I don't know why. Alright. So this chip's already been, I used braid on this one to clean it up. Okay, where's my stencil? Right. On these ICs that use this green mask, they're usually pretty safe to use braid on as long as you're careful. On the ICs that use this gold mask, I would not use braid on those at all. You end up messing your IC up. But the baseband, CPU, some of the other ICs, you're pretty safe to use braid with. And when I use braid, what I do is, just so you guys know, on an IC like this, most people would use braid with an iron like this. That's not what I do. I'll just cut me a small piece off, and I just use my iron and, you know, just kind of float this piece around. And I may do that once or twice just to get all the solder off. But again, don't do that on the IC that's got the yellowish orange coating on it, because you'll damage it. Alright, let's see what we can do here. This will either go really good or really bad. And what's going to want to happen here, as I'm heating the IC up, the stencil is going to want to bow outwards because of the heat. It's going to lift, and we're going to take a chance on bridging some of these. So we're going to have to be really careful on this. Alright, let's see what we can do. Got a lot of holes here to fill in. You can actually see my stencils are already lifting a little bit, so we have to be really careful on this one. That one hole right there just there it went. Okay. Yeah, a bit off more than I can chew here. Alright, let's see what we can do to straighten this mess up. Let's try to get a ball over here. Get those off. Got a damaged ball there. Probably alright. Okay. I think that'll work. Actually, because this thing's bowing the way it is, what I may do is take a ball out here. I think this is what I'm going to try to do here. Let's see if I can put my tweezers there. Let's see what happens like this. Again, I've only done a couple of these. Okay, I'm going to hold it up here a second, let that cool. Got a ball missing up here. I think he's missing, yeah. Let's try to do the same thing now again. See, my stencil's raising, so if I see my stencil raising too much, I want to back the heat off of it until I get my solder to melt. So that looks pretty good, I think. Still got to put a ball in that center hole. Alright, let's put it cool off and see what that looks like. Alright. Now this CPU still does have the SD RAM attached to it. This was just a little show and tell I was doing. This is not going to be an actual IC that I put back in service. Alright, let's see here. Alright, looks pretty decent, I think. There, should be cool now. Not too bad, I don't think. Alright guys, so that is my technique for doing, I just bent those balls in my tweezers a little bit. But anyway, that's my technique for doing BGA reballing with pre-made balls. Hope you learn a little bit. I mean, like I said, I don't by any means consider myself an expert. I just, that's the way I do it. I know some people have expressed having a hard time doing it, so I just wanted to share my technique. Hope it helps. If you enjoyed, give me a like. Thanks.